Okay, great. We are officially recording now. So I wanted to show you these resources. One is ReadyRosie.com/resources. That has all sorts of things from our downloadable flyers to sample videos to parent intro videos to ways to integrate this with family literacy nights, math nights, how to use this with parent-teacher conferences. So it's just a good kind of resource guide to look at to see what you might need. The other helpful resource here is going to be this ReadyRosie.com/teacher dashboard. Everything we're talking about here is actually on that website. There's a couple of good intro videos. One that's going to be very similar to what we're talking about today. Another one that just introduces ReadyRosie generally. But there's also a great guide on a step-by-step guide for how to use this share resource that I'm going over here. So it's like a several page PDF that can be downloaded or you can pull it up on your computer and link to different frequently asked questions. But anything we're talking about here lives there. So while we're going to be kind of going through this kind of fast and furious, you'll be able to go back there and get a step-by-step guide on any of these features. So, and just I always say, if you haven't connected with us on Facebook or Twitter, do so. There's thousands of teachers using this all over the country, always sharing their stories with us. So the basics of SHARE is that it puts teachers in the driver's seat of family engagement for their families. Traditionally, ReadyRosie was putting out for registered parents videos throughout the week that were kind of curated by our team. And so when parents would sign up, they would kind of get into that normal sequence of videos. Teachers came to us and said, you know, we're doing a pretty great curriculum with our kids. Wouldn't it be great if parents were able to get videos that corresponded with what we're doing in the classroom that week, so that what's happening at home is really tying in and customized to what's going on in the classroom. So that's really the drive behind creating this particular feature of ReadyRosie. So you as a teacher are able to do weekly custom messages and handpicked video selection to align with your curriculum. Teachers and parents add parents to your classroom, so to your share platform, and then you're able to see real-time data of usage for your family. So it puts all that in the hands of the parents or the teachers. And as a result, what we're seeing is that families make a stronger connection between ReadyRosie and the classroom, because it's actually something essentially that's coming from their teacher, not just from the ReadyRosie team. And again, we're a small enough crowd, so if you guys want to jump in with any questions as we go along, feel free to ask. But to give you kind of a broad overview of things, as I mentioned, it allows teachers to add or edit or change their families and their preference for receiving messages. So the first thing we'd want to think about doing is getting on and just adding your parents as your users. So it asks just basic things. It wants to know whether your parents want to get this by email, text message, or both. So you would need that data. The parent's name, the children's name, and then the last thing it asks is the language preference between English and Spanish, so that it's kicking out the right version of the videos and your message to match the language preference of your parents. So when you log on, you're going to see just a few options, and one of them is users. So the first thing you do is click on users, click on this red button that says add, and then it pulls up this form, and you would fill out a form for each of your users. Now, you're able to add as many users as you want. So if there's a kid with two parents, a mom and a dad, you're able to add them both. They might even suggest that a grandparent wants to get this because they're maybe the main caretaker. So that's just a matter of you getting that information from those parents and getting that there. Now, Valerie and I had talked a little bit about kind of the strategy upon which you would get your parents signed up, and we can probably talk about that a little bit later. But I did give her a couple of things that'll help foster this. One is a sheet where you can gather that information from your parents if you don't have them live in front of you. And the other is just a step-by-step, three-step guide on how to add your parents into this. So it's pretty simple, since that's the first thing we want to do. But what happens when you sign up a parent, it doesn't automatically sign them up for the program. It still asks them to follow up, but it makes it very simple for them. When you enter a parent into the system, it will send them an email or text or both, depending on how you registered them to get it. That is simply a message from ReadyRosie, but it says it's being sent from you. So it'll say, Miss Martinez is inviting you to join ReadyRosie. Here's what it's about. They can click on a link to find out some more about it. And then they just simply press a button to accept an invite which then asks them to set their password. And upon doing that, they've created an account. So it's a very simple way for them to kind of get registered. And once they're registered, they now are in your user list. So this is what your user list will look like upon setting everyone up. You'll see a box for each of those parents that you have, in which you can go in, and if you can see here, there's an edit button where you can go in and edit things. You'll be able to see their stats, which we'll talk about in a second. You can remove them if they've left your classroom for whatever reason. But what you'll see initially, if you look down here in the bottom right-hand one, it says not accepted. So what that's telling you is it's giving you some early kind of engagement with your families just on the basis of, have they responded to that initial invite? So it'll tell you whether or not they've accepted that invite or whether they have. If they have, that not accepted thing goes away. It also gives you a nice little tool where you can resend the invite in the event that they're saying, oh, I didn't get that, or maybe you need to change their email or something like that. You can then resend it, and that will resend that invite to them as well. So goal number one is just getting your parents added, get them to follow through with that accepting of the invite. And once they do, your parents are now in the system, and they are going to get a weekly message from ReadyRosie, regardless if you do anything else. We've set it up so that every week, every Monday, via text message or email, they're going to get a curated list of videos according to whatever language they set as the preference, and they'll get that. So as we talk about your ability to customize messages, if you don't do that, or if you forget a week or skip a week or for whatever reason, just know that your parents are always going to get something every week, whether or not you do anything else. So the goal is to get your parents signed up and in the system. But then it goes further. So you'll notice when you log in addition to having a user's option, you're also going to see a couple other options. One is pages and one is my schedule. So if you think about this as you being able to create an unlimited amount of pages of content upon which you can do anything you want with, which we'll talk about in a second. But it's a simple platform where just by creating a page, you're creating a custom message with custom videos for your parents by just simply clicking on the Create Page button. When you do that, it opens up the page creator. And again, don't get too nervous about it. I think once you get in and play around with it, you'll see it's pretty easy. You do three things. One, you add a subject line. Second thing you do is add your message. So it could be Miss Martinez's class, the date maybe you want to put or whatever on the subject line. You maybe might put something more creative that's catchy, that kind of catches their eye. But you can do whatever you want. The example message can be, here's what we're doing in class this week. We are reviewing these strategies for whatever it happens to be, and whatever else you want to tell them. Picture Day is coming up on Thursday, whatever you think is pertinent to letting your family know. But you can create a custom message. Then you'd go down here and simply hit Add Video. And that's where it opens up our entire video library by category. And you're able to go and find the right years that make sense for the age of your children that you're working with, the right category that you're looking at. And then you simply click through a category to find the right type of video you're looking for. And you see all the videos that meet that criteria. You could at any point view that video to see, make sure it is what you want. You could also just hover over top of a video for more of a description. But once you find the video you want, it's as simple as dragging and dropping it into your message. Now, it's important to note that this is kind of optimized really to be used best with a desktop computer or a laptop computer. So some of you guys may have iPads. Trying to use this on your phone, it's not really set up to be able to use this particular share platform. Now, your parents, when they get your messages, the videos, whatnot, can access that from any device and it works. But in terms of you using this administrative platform, you want to use it on a desktop or a laptop. Simply drag your video in there. It allows you to do a couple of other things. You're able to translate your message. So some of you guys may have predominantly English-speaking families. Some of you might have predominantly Spanish-speaking families. Some of you have a mix. And so as you are signing up your parents, you're going to set the preference for them. In order to have the parents get the Spanish version of these videos, you're going to have to go up to Actions. There's an action button and click Translate. and that pulls up this box. And what you're able to do is a couple of things. The system assumes you're starting everything off in English. Now, I know for those of you guys who may teach pure ESL or dual language classes, that may not seem intuitive, and we agree. And we're actually working on creating a new method that works. But the way it works is it assumes you're creating your messages and picking your videos in English. So the way to tell the system, hey, send the Spanish version of all of this stuff to my parents who speak Spanish, you click on the translate button, and either you can translate the message if you know Spanish. If you don't, there's also, it's not showing on this screen, but there's a Google Translate button that will translate what you just created in English automatically into Spanish. Those of you guys who know Spanish know Google Translate isn't the ideal, but if that's all you have, that is better than nothing. So you can translate that, and once you hit add translation, then the system has a translation in there, and it will tell it, everyone who has Spanish as their preferred language, give them the Spanish version of the subject line, the message, and the Spanish version of those videos. So that way they're able to get what they want in the language that they need it. So within a few moments, you've essentially created a custom message with hand-picked videos, and you've created your own little page. Now what this is essentially an actual web page. And so you can do a couple of things with it. Number one, you can schedule it to be part of your weekly message for your parents. So going to the action button and just selecting schedule, it will then drop down a calendar in which you can tell it what week you want to schedule this for. Now, again, all the messages go to your families every Monday. So in order to have message scheduled, they're always going to go out on Monday, and you need to have it scheduled prior to that Monday so that it can make it for that week that you want it to go. Now, you can schedule up messages as far in advance as you like. Some teachers are kind of tracking it with their creation of lesson plans. Others are doing 3 weeks at a time. I've seen others that'll do a whole semester at a time to just get their messages in there and saved. So you can schedule them out as far in advance as you want for the school year. So you can schedule them. And what that does is it'll go to every single user you have on your share page. The other thing you can do is you can share this message. As I mentioned, this is just a web page. So if you click on the share option, it just pulls up the link that you can copy. It has some preset things there if you want to share it via Twitter or Facebook, but it shares that page as if you'd share a page on any other social media or share a link through an email or any other electronic version of communication. So the reason we did this is we know that teachers are communicating with parents in a variety of ways. You might be sending emails. Maybe you have an email newsletter. Maybe you've created your own blog that you're hosting and asking your parents to see. You can drop these links into there. You can share a page for just an individual. If you had wanted to create a page because you know a particular family, you want them to work on something, you could create a page just for them, not schedule it for all your folks, but just share it, get that link, and send an email to that family and say, here's some suggestions for you. So it assumes that regardless of what electronic way of communicating with your families, if you want to be able to share this through some other means, we give you the ability to do that. So once you've scheduled videos, you can go in and click on schedule, which is another option you have there, and it'll just show you your videos, your messages, your pages that you've created, and the date upon which it is scheduled. And so you'll see them even when they passed, so you can kind of keep track of what you've sent out in the past. The other thing you're able to do, as I mentioned, for each of your users is click on them to be able to see their stats. And the basic stats that we're collecting for you is, have they watched the video and have they followed through with clicking on the We Did It button. Now, if you look at any particular, I'll pull one up here on our website. If parents are pulling up any particular video, the one thing we're really encouraging them to do is be logged in, because a parent who's logged in has access to our entire video library. So in addition to getting the messages pushed to them, they can go on here and at any point search through the videos by whatever they feel is helpful to them, by location, by skill, by location, by age, subject matter. But anytime you're here, and looking at a particular video. So I'll pull one up. Let me get appropriate age range for y'all. So when you're on a particular video and your parent is watching it and they're logged in, they're going to see this "We Did It" button. We're going to track their usage if they watch a video to the completion, and or if they click on this "We Did It" button. What this does is it reports it for them to be able to keep track of their completed videos, but that also reports back to you so that when you're looking back at their, I'll look at my live dashboard here of users. As you're looking at your users, and looking at stats, for instance, you can see this user watched 2 videos, and here's what the videos are. So it's helpful for you to be able to assess which parents are utilizing this and how can I intervene accordingly in order to help out my families. So the stats part is nice, and you can have access to that 24/7. I do also want to give you access to both my email and the support email for us, so that as you're kind of getting in and you're away from me and Valerie and you're trying to play around with this and you run into some problems or some questions, you can get those answered directly. So write down those email addresses so that you can have access to us when you need it. So the other thing I wanted to kind of go over with you is, just for right now, thinking about kind of 3 main goals. One is making your parents aware and excited about this resource. So our resources page is very helpful to do that. You don't want your parents to hear about ReadyRosie for the first time when they get that email sent from you. That's the invitation, because if they don't know what it is, they're likely to delete it or ignore it or something like that. So think about how you can get them aware and excited about it. It sounds like you guys might use things like parent-teacher nights or whatever. If they happen to be in front of you, that's a great way, because you can actually show them an example video, and that's helpful so they see what this is. A lot of parents, when they see there's a tech tool, think that it's designed for their kids. So some parents who don't understand may get a video sent to them from ReadyRosie and assume it's something that they need to put in the hands of their kids, when in reality, this is something for the parents to get some great ideas of what they can do with their kids outside of that technology. So think of ways to get them aware and excited. Number 2, sign up your parents. So just go through and get them all signed up. And then finally, integrating it with your family engagement efforts. So we talked about this resources page. We talked about signing up your parents and how that works. And so finally, I would just encourage you, as you think through your various family engagement efforts throughout the year, what are you already doing? How can you think about integrating ReadyRosie with that? And on our resources page, we have a number of resources that go through suggestions. One thing I will say is take a look at our video library and get to know it. As you're thinking about giving your parents great resources to use, the more you're familiar with the videos and the options, the more you're able to kind of suggest specific things to them. So take some time to spend some time with this yourself. We also have alignment guides on our website in which we've aligned the videos to a lot of the various state standards and Common Core standards as well, and you can see how each video aligns. Something as simple as putting signs up in class as reminders to parents is helpful. I had my 4-year-old in a pre-K classroom in Denton, Texas, and every time I'd go through the same door to drop off and pick up my son Frank, my teacher had a big flyer there that said, "Have you watched your ReadyRosie videos this week?" And that was an encouragement to me, not only that that's a resource that's connected to what's going on with him in the classroom, but also as I'm on my way home with Frank in the backseat of the car, I can make this a more intentional drive because I've seen some great examples of how to do that. Some families are even showing ReadyRosie videos at school, even though they're not intended primarily for the kids. The kids enjoy watching them. But this is because they're finding that kids become great drivers of behavior for their families. Same way that if we can get kids excited about reading books, put free books in their hands, do things like story time, we get a book in that kid's hand, we're more likely to see that kid drive the behavior of the parent and create the habit of reading at home. Same thing with this sort of a resource. We're hearing from families that kids get excited, hear that music chime up, and they want to watch this and play this activity with their parent. Some other things we mentioned, bringing up at parent-teacher conferences, math and literacy nights I've already talked about. We've seen people do ReadyRosie stations or ReadyRosie walks where they'll have activities for a family night where they'll combine it with ReadyRosie videos at each of those tables, have the parents and the children actually walk through those activities right there as a fun way to get to know the resource more, but also to just have another activity for your family night. Think through all of your various family engagement efforts. Think how you might integrate with that, making it a part of regular lesson planning. And then finally, if you make use of aides, volunteers, mentors, or anyone else who's coming in to help you out in the classroom, you might think about signing them up as well. It becomes great professional development for some of these folks. So that was very fast, very quick. What sort of questions do you have at this point before you guys get yourself logged in?
I don't think we have any questions. I think Kevin, I'll let you go, and I'm going to walk them through logging in, and then we have some other things we need to go over as part of the project. So
great.
If there's anything outstanding, I'll drop you an email.
Sounds good. Well, thank you all for your time.
Okay. Thanks. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.